I'm Gab, he's Jules. Blue skies over West London. Jules, this is my last regular show of 2024. Right. We'll be doing a holiday special, which we've already taped. No spoilers there. And then after that, I'm taking some holiday. You've got somebody coming in for me.
Yeah.
But wow, what a way to go out. Because we had some pretty wild games this weekend.
Yeah.
9 goals in Spurs against Liverpool. Manchester United losing again. A lot going on. But I think there's one place to start. Barcelona against Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a buzzer beater from the only living Sorloth in captivity to go and decide this. People are going to pile on Barcelona and Hansi Flick, who wasn't there, but his weird friend Sorg was. I don't think that's fair, is it?
No, because I think Barcelona played really well. And we've seen some of their defeats previously, the one against Leganés, where they also had a lot of chances. But even within the game, collectively, in the performance, it was not as good as what we saw on Saturday. I thought they played really, really well. They were very dominant. They were in control, as much as they can be in control, because it's still a bit of a hectic style of football with a lot of attacking and a lot of running when they lose the ball. And that's what cost them the first goal. But when you make a mistake against a team like Atletico in that kind of form, you pay for them. And Barca didn't take their chances. Right. And Atletico took their 2 really, really well.
60 minutes in, Atletico Madrid had taken 1 shot. Yeah. Minute 53. That was that goal machine, otherwise known as Clement Lenglet,
that's right,
from inside his own half.
Yeah.
No shots of any kind in the first half.
No, hardly any touches in the box even.
I mean, if we are going to nitpick about this, like I said, like I want to give Flick, because I'm assuming he was communicating with the Sorg on the sideline. I want to kind of give him a pass on this one. If we really, really, really have to nitpick, maybe it was a failure to understand after the Depal goal, maybe not take so many chances because you gave up the Lucas Barrios chance and that could have killed you.
Yeah.
And maybe that's when on the pitch you say, you know what, this is more of a can't lose than a must win for us. Maybe be a bit more conservative.
Yeah,
but that is
maybe.
real nitpicking. Beyond that,
you're right.
It's not his fault Robert Lewandowski missed all those chances.
No.
And it's not just him.
Rafinha could have had a hat-trick easily.
But can you get that message through to the Barcelona fans?
Yeah, but is it their style though? I don't think so. Look at the Dortmund game in the Champions League. With the left, they open all the time. I think they just play like that all the time. I just don't think they can become suddenly a different team to keep a score towards the end. And maybe that's their downfall. Maybe that's one of the criticisms that we can have to them. It's like they're always looking to attack all the time. And I guess in a game like that, where they must have felt like, how are we 1-1 now? Because they've been so much better than Atletico. Maybe they thought, if we keep doing this, we're going to score the winner, and not thinking the other way around.
Atleti fans would get annoyed with us if we didn't give them credit. And look, I think you have to give credit to Simeone. The way this season is going for really managed, because people say, oh, he's got a big squad. Yeah, but he's keeping them all motivated to show the intensity.
Yeah.
The reason I struggle a little bit is surely it's not his plan. Like, oh, let's go out there and stink it up for 60 minutes when we could have been 10 minutes down. And then I'm going to throw in all my substitutes and hope that something happens at the end. That is not a plan, right?
I disagree. I thought that their plan was exactly what they did. You can't play like that if that's not what your manager asked you to do. I don't believe that.
Right, but it didn't work. I mean, it worked because they were lucky, not because... See, I would accept the plan if they say, all right, we're going to park the bus, Jimenez gets hurt, that's fine, we're going to keep going. If Barcelona don't create a lot of chances. But when you're leaking chances left, right, and center, your plan A certainly didn't work. Your plan B...
It's hard to change plans halfway through, though, even at halftime. Maybe at halftime he said to them, let's try to play a bit higher up the pitch. But I think the plan was always to defend.
But he did it. The hour mark, moving to the back 3, making his substitutions.
Yeah.
In the end, we always have to remember that Atletico Madrid have a ton more resources than everybody else in the league, other than Real Madrid and Barcelona. Sure. But there's a massive gap between Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid. So I think we have to give credit for them.
His first ever win in Barcelona, by the way.
His first ever win, first time in... I think since 60 years that Barcelona lose 3 straight home games. Yeah. They've gone to 10 points clear of Atletico Madrid, to 1 point back, and Atleti have that game in hand.
Yeah.
It's tight. It's really tight. I really like I've been critical of Barcelona, I've been critical of Laporta, I've been critical of some of the decisions, I've been critical of Lewandowski, although again, 23 goals in 24 games, there's only so much you can criticize.
Yeah.
All right, Jules, I want to make it clear, it's not just the holiday season that we're being kind to Barcelona.
No,
right?
they deserve it.
I thought, he made a call dropping Dani Olmo
Yeah.
and going with a Gavi. I thought Pedri was fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. They get lucky on the goal, but yeah, still amazing. But even when Dani Olmo came on, he had a big impact. He made a lot of things happen. You can be the best team and lose in football. I mean, not just in football, in any sport, it can happen. It happened this time. Atletico did the same in Paris against PSG in the Champions League, where
I knew that was going to come up.
where we battered them, and then the last kick of the game, Correa scores in a very. It's just it's the same template again, and yeah, that's what they do. But you can't, like you said, you said it perfectly. Barca can't be depressed. Their fans can't be depressed. You can't be too critical. Right. Yes, it's a defeat and it's not good and it's 3 in a row at home. Okay, I get that. But they were the better team.
Yeah, I think Barca fans, if you're going to be critical, it's fine. There's so many things to be critical about this Barcelona side. Be critical about the stupid levers. Be critical about your situation. Be critical about the nonsense that sometimes comes from the people running your club. Be worried about losing Dani Olmo in January, although I think he's not. He's going to stay. Be concerned about the fact that they thought it was a good idea to spend all that money on Robert Lewandowski and not have a backup for him. And again, I'm having a go. Lewandowski should have scored that goal. You expect him to, but you cannot be critical for the performance or the job that Flick did today.
No.
And to even reinforce that, I mean, you were going to be mean and be critical about Yamal for not being there. No, just kidding. Obviously, although that was a loss.
Yeah, that was.
But about Casado at the end.
I just don't think. What changes everything is the Paul goal, obviously, for Atletico to go to 1-1 when they were under pressure so much, wave after wave after wave. And I just think, I like Casado a lot, and we've said he's had some really good performances this season. There's an amazing ball, for example, in the Champions League. I can't remember, for the goal against Bayern, one of the goals against Bayern. So, really good. I like him a lot. He's very much La Masia spirit. Great. I'm sorry, you don't backheel the ball on that cross. This is just bonkers. I think you make mistake, any kind of mistakes in a game like this against a team like Atletico Madrid in the form that they are in, you're gonna pay for it. But that's not even mistake. Doesn't even come close to what this is. What is he even trying to do by backheeling that ball there? Just put your foot through and hit the ball all the way to France, all the way through that, all the way through the Pyrenees in the mountain. Why are you trying to do that? And I just think that. I don't want to blame him too much because it's not just on him, obviously. But that mistake is massive. It's so costly. And again, you can make a mistake by, I don't know, making a wrong decision or something. This was just like, what even are you trying to do? It's just mad.
And I think you need to stay more focused. That said, I mean, Rodrigo de Paul still hits the ball from outside the box. It's a .02 XG type shot.
Yeah,
I mean, he hits it really well. We've seen it before, but
somebody of his talent, there's something that can come out of this.
1 in 50 chance still, but we are really, really nitpicking there. Nitpick further, the ball goes right through Pau Cubarsí on the cross. Now, phenomenal player, still very young. I don't see this as a mistake by Cubarsí, although he'll probably kick himself for it.
Yeah,
I see this as more of the how close the margins are.
Of course. You're right.
with Atletico Madrid. And that brings me to my next point. I don't think Simeone said he was lucky. We talked about this earlier. I didn't think his game plan worked.
Yeah.
But when you can bring in these substitutes with this energy, substitutes who are different from the guys you had out there.
Yeah.
You can look at it and say, well, these guys are so good. Why weren't they playing before? Which, in some ways, is a fair argument.
True, although that team has been winning, as we said, for a while now.
But they go and they change the game. And they give you that chance. And it's almost becomes self-fulfilling, right? These guys come on and you expect something to happen from, in this case, the only living Sorloth in captivity. Our colleague Graham Hunter has said that Atletico Madrid have the deepest squad in Europe. deepest in the sense of 1 to 20.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought about this.
Yeah.
Does he have a point?
I don't think they have the best squad, but they are amongst there. Yeah, I think Liverpool have a better squad. I think if everybody's fit at City still has a better squad.
I don't know. Once you get to number 17 and 18 at City, what do you get excited about?
Yeah,
what?
but then it depends how many. If you have 8 defenders in that squad,
let's say
compared
one.
to 6,
Let's say 1 to 20. I mean,
yeah.
when you break it down that way, I take your point about Liverpool. I think Liverpool, you do have a case. Although again, at the back with Liverpool, we're talking about Joe Gomez, Joao Kwanzaa, he doesn't seem to like anymore. People like that. But I think Liverpool would be in the conversation, probably a better 1 to 20 squad.
Yeah.
But
but I think Inter Milan have an amazing squad too. To be fair, 1 to 20. So I think there's a lot of other clubs. I see his point. I think they spend a lot of money in the
thing
summer.
with Inter Milan is he brings on Correa and the only living soul left in captivity. Inter bring on Arnautovic, Taremi, and the crappy Correa. That's the
no, but they,
You know what I mean?
they have
Like-
other players that on the bench that makes differences too, and that's why Inter, who rotates the most in all of Europe, are still very good. So
I think if you measure it in terms of the gap in quality, and I think this is what he was getting at, between the starters and the reserves, I think that's where he may have a point. Because Liverpool, Manchester City have a lot of good substitutes, but I think there is objectively a massive gap between Konate and Van Dijk and Joe Gomez and Joao Kwanzaa. When you look at the defenders there, is there really a big gap between, I don't know, Robin Lenormand, Clement Lenglet, Witsel, Jimenez? We don't really see this big gap in quality. I think that's the difference.
None of them is better than Van Dijk or Konate either.
No, I know, but that's not what he means by depth, right?
No, I know. But then if the level of your players is here, and then other clubs is there, even if the subs are lower. Do you see what I mean? It's always so. I hear him about the depth, but I would rather have Van Dijk, Konate, and then Gomez and Kwanzaa than have Lenglet, Witsel, and Lenormand. Personally,
that's European champion Robin Lenormand to you.
That's true. It's a French Robin Lenormand.
Final point here. Can we definitively say we have a 3-way race? Do we think it's going to stay a 3-way race?
Yeah, it should. Don't you think? I mean,
I think so.
Atletico are not going to keep winning and winning and winning. They will drop points, but so are the other two. So I think it'd be great.
And I think the big wild card here for me is Real Madrid can move in January. I think they should move in January. They keep saying we're not going to move and add players in January. I think if they do, and if they get things to click in terms of the balance, like Ancelotti keeps talking about, then I think they can get substantially better. I don't see how Barcelona are going to necessarily get substantially better unless Gavi keeps progressing and he becomes a real value add in the second half of the season, which is likely. I think he needs to find a way for Frankie de Jong to contribute. Araujo will also be back. Ter Stegen, I presume, will be back at some point.
Christensen as well.
But it's still like a guy pushing a rock uphill because they have so many other things.
Yeah, that's true.
But Atletico Madrid, you think?
Yeah,
you think?
I think a lot of people believe
maximum right now.
I just think that game on Saturday. After the game on Saturday, I thought this is it. They're going to win the league because against Real Madrid in that derby, and neither team played well at the time, and it was a few months ago. They found an equalizer in the 96th minute. This time they win it in the 90, whatever it was. I just think that it seemed that this season, a bit like when they won, not the last title, but the one before, just everything is going their way. So I can see why people think that Atletico will be the winner in the end.
I can see why they think that. I don't think they will. All right, enough Atleti. How about Spurs and Liverpool? We have to do a segment here. This is absolutely wild. Final score is 6-3. At one point, it was 5-1. It was so dominant from Liverpool.
More than you thought? Or was that exactly everything you thought would happen? Because it was everything I thought would happen.
It was everything I thought would happen if Tottenham go out there and make zero adjustments whatsoever for the fact that they're playing against Liverpool.
Yeah.
They decide, let's go and play right into Liverpool's hands. And especially so, and this got me after the game. Ange, who, we like as
We
a
like
person.
Ange. We like you, Ange.
But whatever. He said he's not going to change. And he got all grumpy. And he says, well, then I'm not going to tell you what the problem is. And then he says what the problem is, which is, he has both center backs and his left back out and his goalkeeper out. Now, that's fine. But that also, to me, says, oh, look, I'm playing 4 dudes at the back who've never played together.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask them to do something that is really, really difficult, which is to play a high line with my style of play, which is high risk, high reward. This stuff takes chemistry. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this against Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah, who, can spring almost any offside trap.
Yeah.
So then I'm thinking, look, I'm not asking you to go against your nature, but I expect you to make some sort of tweak precisely because, right?
Absolutely. I thought it was completely stupid. And I think, to be fair, Liverpool could have scored 10 goals easily. I think Liverpool stopped playing at 5-1 anyway. And Spurs will always create, and because they have Kulusevski and Solanke and Son and Madison, and because they commit so many players forward, which is the downfall too, not just in this game, but in general, under Ange. But I just agree with you so much. I just don't understand how you can go into that game thinking, yeah, that's fine. Fred Foster, Jed Spence, Archie Gray. I mean, come on. Pedro Porro is not a defender in the first place either. And then Draguzin is Draguzin. And how can you think with that back 4, let's just do what we always do against the best team in Europe? It's just mental. It didn't make any sense from Postecoglou at all again. And if I was a Spurs fan, and we've said it many times, I would be fuming today.
Yeah, and they are fuming.
They should be, because that's not acceptable, Gab. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. You're taking the mick if you Ange.
This was worse than remember the Chelsea game last year when they,
down to 9.
They were down to 9 men in the first
halfway
half,
line.
and they played this crazy high line the rest of the way. And I thought, you know what? This is fun. You're going to lose this game anyway, but you're making a point. You can mess with Chelsea's heads if you do this. But this was different. And just the ease with which, when I think it was the play where Mohamed Salah hit the woodwork.
Yeah.
He somehow squirms within 3 players. Now, obviously, Mohamed Salah, he's phenomenal, right? But the ease with which he does it, the fact that nobody even bodies him, the fact that, the oldest thing that they teach you, do not concede right before halftime, if you can, especially if you're losing.
Especially that kind of goal, man.
Conceding a goal like that, a 3-1, I mean, to make a 3-1 right after you've pulled one back.
Yeah, somehow.
That's not an Ange's tactics. That's just like a mental unpreparedness on the pitch.
Yeah, and they were just all over the place through the whole game. I mean, Bissouma and Sarr, I love them dearly, and they played in France. And clearly you ask them to have all that energy and go forward as soon as you can. Go forward, let's go, you go. Everybody goes. We have the ball, everybody goes forward. Just football doesn't work like this. What is this world? Are we playing something? Is it a different sport? Are we playing something different? This is not how it works. And then Bissouma and Sarr are so high on the pitch when they lose the ball. If you're Liverpool and Slot said before, I love how Ange played. No wonder you do. Because that 4-2-4 that Liverpool had was just so easy. We recovered the ball. Hey, look at this. We've got like literally highways, motorways, autoroute, whatever language you want to put it, in front of us. Let's go. And really, I think Liverpool should be disappointed to have only scored 6.
And we've been critical of Spurs. It doesn't almost become difficult to praise Liverpool because obviously you can only beat what's in front of you. And you said they could have scored 6. And I'm less concerned about the stuff at the end in garbage time. But it's hard to almost judge them because they played into Slot's hand so much. And Slot set up. But I don't think compared to other games, Slot did anything that was particularly innovative here. He just did smart stuff that you expected to do.
But the Szoboszlai positioning we've never really seen it that way, not that high. With Luis Diaz almost playing as the second striker, but in that very free role everywhere. Yeah. I thought that was really interesting.
Another impressive win for Liverpool. All right, enough Spurs. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Manchester United get thumped at home by Bournemouth, losing 3-0. Jules, Ruben Amorim is preaching patience.
Yeah, I think he's right. We've said that many times, no problem. And not everything was bad in that game. They have a higher XG, for example, than Bournemouth, if you like that kind of stuff. So they didn't play too badly. But at the end of the day, you didn't take your chances, and Bournemouth were outstanding with and without the ball in your own turf. Bournemouth, let's remind everybody, won 3-0 last season, almost a year to the day.
Different manager,
But still, same effect. And just looking at the face of Ruben Amorim on the bench, you understood how much he knew how difficult this is all going to be. And yes, it will take a long time. It's a rebuilding, a reconstruction job, whatever way you want to put it. They will have highs and lows, a lot of them on the way, but eventually he might fix it.
Yeah, 7 points from 6 games. All I want to stress is
it's not good enough from him.
The tools for him to fix it are more likely to be there if he can get this team up the table and into at least the Europa League spots. I think that's important because I think we've seen they need a number of players. Poor Joshua Zirkzee is all wrong for this game. I don't think that's his position. If you're going to play in that way.
Yeah.
And also, I don't get, all right, you want to be kind, give everybody a chance. Like, enough, Terrell Malacia. Seriously?
I know. And still no Marcus Rashford, by the way. Real Madrid roll over Sevilla 4-2 at the Bernabeu. Gav Ancelotti says they have the right balance going forward now.
Yeah, well, yes, they do against Sevilla.
Yeah.
When you're 3-0 up at halftime, you got Mbappe and Bellingham through the middle. The Julien Lawrence scheme, remember you said, play Bellingham further up the pitch.
Exactly.
Okay,
Since
and
that.
then I have Rodrigo and Brahim. Now, does that work against a better team? Does that work when Vini is there on the left instead of Rodrigo? I'm not sure. Can you have the luxury of Camavinga at left back?
Yeah.
Which means Dani Ceballos in midfield? I don't know. Good news, I think, at the back, I think still pretty evident issues.
Yeah.
But that said, Mbappe smiling.
Come on, my boy.
Who scored the better goal, Mbappe or Valverde?
Mbappe, come on.
Mbappe, thank you.
Yeah,
Producer
let's
Freddie's
be
like,
no,
Valverde. That's why if you're watching us on YouTube, Valverde's up on the screen behind us. No. It should be Mbappe.
It should have been
Come
Mbappe, 100%.
Come on
man.
now.
Scoring again, like 5 games in a row now, I think he scored.
Oops, they did it again.
Aye.
Manchester City have now lost 9 of their last 12, falling 2-1 at Aston Villa. And again, this could have been more.
It could have been more, should have been more. They were just so bad. And we said before with Barca and Atletico, you can play well and lose matches. That happens. It happens to everyone. And there were games in those defeats where City played well for half an hour, 45 minutes maybe, all
Sometimes
of that.
even 90 minutes.
Yeah, and still didn't get the points. Okay, in that game, they were horrendous. And that's where you worry even more because until Foden scored in the 94th minute, wherever it was, they just didn't create anything. There was no rhythm to their game, no creativity. Defensively, they're shockingly bad, all of them. They could have been a goal down after 15 seconds. That's how bad they were.
And again, no adjustments. I mean, you play Kamara and Onana, who I think is fantastic. It frees
and
up,
Tielemans, yeah, of
it
course.
frees up Yuri Tielemans, who, as you know, we're Team Tielemans all the way.
Yeah.
Make an adjustment. Do something. You're getting killed there. Gundogan and Kovacic are getting killed.
Yeah.
That's what the part I don't understand.
I know. I think it's really worrying. And sticking with City, Gabi, Erling Haaland after the game said that he hasn't been good enough and that he needs to work harder. Basically taking responsibility, it felt like, for the defeat and the bad run. Do you think he's right?
No, he's wrong. And you know who else doesn't think he's wrong? Pep Guardiola. Can he work harder? Yes, everybody can get better. We can do harder. But right now he's operating in when he arrived, Pep made the decision, and it worked out for him for a long time, that, okay, you're just going to be the attacking terminus. We will tee you up. We have all these playmakers and whatever, right? Now they're producing nothing, so he sees very little of the ball.
Yeah.
Earlier this season, he missed a bunch of chances. He still scored a ton of goals this season, right? He's not missing chances now. He's just not getting on the end of them because they're not creating anything.
No chances for him.
Erling Haaland is part of the solution, and I've floated this before. Maybe it's time, given the way you're playing, maybe give him more license. Maybe don't just use him as a finisher. Maybe get him to drop off.
Yeah.
Maybe get him to hold the ball up. Maybe get him to do things that you haven't asked him to do so far. Because I'll tell you what, in absolute terms, Erling Haaland is one of Manchester City's best players. And right now, this means that he's not involved. By the way, another point on City, which I forgot before. He dropped Alisson again for Ortega. Ortega made that ridiculous save. Ederson. Is Ederson really a problem?
I don't know. I thought he was not fit. I think there was a question mark over his fitness.
Right.
I think it's more fitness issues than anything else this time.
Gabriel Jesus scores 2 and could have had 4 as Arsenal demolished Crystal Palace 5-1. Jules, I still don't think he should play up front. Am I wrong? And how big a blow is Bukayo Saka's injury?
I think he can play up front if you play with Kai Havertz in midfield and have a bit of that kind of Luis Diaz, so it was like combo that we mentioned earlier for Liverpool, and have a bit of Gabriel Jesus, Havertz, as we saw in the first goal. The first goal is exactly that. Havertz plays a centre forward, Gabriel Jesus on the left. You've got a front four with Saka, Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, and Martinelli in this game. And then your two midfielders with Odegaard, and then obviously Partey as the most defensive one. I think that works that way. I don't know if it would work in every game. And by the way, the results don't really reflect the way the game went, because Palace could have easily scored 2 or 3 as well. So this is great. The bad news, of course, is Bukayo Saka's injury. He left the stadium on crutches, which is never a good thing. And we're waiting to hear some news from Mikel Arteta, but if it's hamstring, it will be at least 2-3 weeks.
The other reason you don't want to play, I think, Havertz in midfield alongside Odegaard is that then that means that presumably Declan Rice is your third midfielder, and Declan Rice as a defensive midfielder, I don't think is good use of Declan Rice. I think you need Partey or a Partey type in front of the back four.
Thiago Motta fiddles with his formation and Juventus win away at Monza 2-1. But Gab, people are still not happy.
No, they're not happy because this is a bad performance. He tried something a little different. He had
McKennie at left back?
Yeah.
Left side, yeah.
He's moving, so he can come inside. Nico Gonzalez, McKennie, who scored, by the way.
Yeah.
Nico Gonzalez
Scored as well.
in the hole, also scored. He had Coop Miners kind of alongside him. Locatelli as a pivot. But it was a really ugly performance in the second half. And I'm thinking, you're 2-1 up against a team that's bottom of the table. You should be managing the game. You should be creating chances on the counter. And it's just not happening for him. And that's why people are annoyed. And I'm glad we've progressed beyond the point where we just look at results and can actually talk about performances. After shackling Arsenal, Everton hold Chelsea to a scoreless draw 2. Jules, are you impressed? You team Daesh?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Because I think, like in the Arsenal game, Arsenal had enough chances to win it. I think Chelsea had enough chances to win it. I think it was bad. Nico Jackson.
Everton had some big chances too. Robert Sanchez, my man, improving.
Yeah, big save. But Nico Jackson, really, it's the bad Nico from last season. But if you're Everton, you take that. The thing I was the most disappointing with, and maybe I'm a bit mean, and I don't know what the freaking family schedule look like for this weekend, but you've just bought Everton Football Club. It's a massive investment. It's a club that needs a lot of TLC and love right now, and you're not there. What? Yeah. Well, you have something better to do on Sunday?
Especially when the narrative of people reason you don't like you in Roma is that you're often not there either. Oh, and one last thing, I thought Jordan Pickford should have been sent off.
Yeah, probably as well. They're a little bit late, but the Prince Charles de Ketelaere delivers a 3-2 win for Atalanta of Empoli. Gab, they're top at Christmas.
They are top at Christmas.
And that's great.
And I know we talked about the Ketelaere in midweek after the Coppa Italia. I can't help but talk about him again, Jules.
Yeah, it was so good.
Because this was such a dominant performance. The winner that he scored, Atalanta weren't great in this game. I mean, Empoli are tough out. They're one of those, classic scrappy team with few resources, some combination of youth, creativity with signings. They create problems for bigger teams. Fine. And you could see Atalanta are tired. They've played a lot of games. They're not used to the Champions League and whatever else. And then this guy just takes over. And I genuinely believe that one of the issues with the Ketelaere is the way he looks. He looks soft. He looks like some posh boy.
What would that be a problem? For who?
I think this is why at Milan after 1 year, I mean, he had a horrible year at Milan and they wrote him off and they sent him to Atalanta. And I think they're seriously regretting it. Imagine if he was at Milan. Imagine the parallel universe where he's at Milan, so they don't have to mess around with Tammy Abraham and Chukwueze and whatever else. Just imagine. My man Patrick Schick bags 4 goals and Florian Wirtz dazzles, despite missing a penalty.
Yeah, missing a penalty.
As Bayer Leverkusen destroy Freiburg 5-1. Jules, Schick remains an enigma.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he done this more regularly in his 10-year career?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know why. And we also saw at the Euros, for example, not the last one, the one before, that he can do it at that level too, with some great moments, great goals. I just don't know. Maybe he doesn't have that hunger. I don't know him at all. I've never met him. I don't know what's wrong, because clearly he's very talented. He's got everything, the size, the technical ability. everything. So I don't know what is the problem for the lack of consistency, but
I think it's pretty huge that until Victor Boniface returns, that he maintain a level close to this. After that, I've said it before, I would love to see him and Boniface together.
yeah.
With Florian Wirtz perhaps setting them up. Something like that. But Xabi Alonso can find the solution.
Yeah.
But if he's like this, Leverkusen become a threat across the board. Bundesliga, Champions League.
Napoli win at Genoa, beating my boy Patrick Vieira 2-1 to stay second in the table. So why is Conte so grumpy then?
He's grumpy because they weren't good in the second half. They turned out that first half was, I think, as dominant as Napoli have been this season. And then after the break, and presumably Conte didn't tell him at halftime, like, haha, look, it's Genoa. These guys stink. Look at that weirdo Patrick Vieira. Take it easy in the second half. They went out there. They totally took their foot off the gas. Genoa created so many chances.
Yeah, they could have
Alex
come
Meret,
back.
by the way, shout out on the new
Great
deal.
saves, yeah.
Made some huge saves. We even had a Super Mario Balotelli signing at the
Yeah,
end.
with a good impact.
It's probably a cross, not a shot, but
Yeah,
still,
still.
I think Conte knows it's fine margins and they can't let up. And especially what I like about Conte this season, and I've been so critical of him in the past, I don't think anybody can accuse me of being a particular Conte lover, is that he's holding his players to account even when they win.
Yeah.
He's coming out and he's saying things. You have 1 week to prepare for every game. There is no reason anybody should be outrunning you or outworking you. And I think that's what the players need to hear right now. Dortmund going to Dortmund, Jules. 3-0 up at halftime against Salzburg, and they nearly throw it away.
Absolutely. They were great in that first half, and we haven't said that many times this season about them, but they were really, really good. And then Gross gets sent off, and then they start playing deeper and deeper, and they won in the end, and I guess that's the most important, right? Especially at this time before the winter break for them in Germany.
It's the first away win in the league.
Yeah, which is mad when you think about it. And I don't know. I just don't see any improvement, really. They are capable. We know that. We've seen it many times before. And then on the other hand, they're also capable of the other completely extreme.
I mean, it looks like, what's frustrating, it looks like he's just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? So they did this formation with Bayer and Girassi together, and then Malen, by the way, back after a month, and Gittins out wide. Are you really going to play this again? Are you really going to you really think 4-2-4 is actually the way forward?
I guess in some games, probably, yeah.
It's not.
It is in some games.
Sure, do that, and then you'll have other Dortmund-like performances.
Yeah, probably, that's true. Eintracht Frankfurt somehow lose at home to Mainz in one of the craziest games you will see this season.
So I had this on one of my screens, and every time I looked up, it felt like Eintracht was shooting on goal.
Yeah.
This is mad. So you had... Mainz had a player sent off after 20 minutes.
Yeah, really.
So you figure, okay, Eintracht flying. I know Mainz have had some good results of late. Eintracht flying. And then, obviously Mainz retreat and defend. And Eintracht just keep peppering the goal. I think that the XG was well over 3, and they just cannot score. At the same time, the goalkeeper, Kawa Santos, I feel bad for him. He was in there. He's replacing Kevin Trapp.
It's quite promising, though.
Not on it, based on this.
That's the worst performance I've seen of a goalkeeper in a very long time, man. This was horrendous.
You didn't watch Fraser Forster on Thursday night?
Well, I think that was even worse than Fraser Forster on Thursday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Just everything went wrong with him. Certainly 2 of the 3 goals were entirely down to him. I don't think you can fault the team, but it does kind of show you how this is a weird and wonderful...
It is.
Unless you're an Eintracht fan, it's a weird and wonderful sport. This is way, way back on Friday. Feels like an age ago. But Bayern Munich demolished Leipzig 5-1. Oh. Funny how they're better with Harry Kane up front, isn't it? Even when he doesn't score.
Even when he doesn't score, because he was not on the score sheet despite scoring 5. Pretty much everybody else was. To be fair, 5 different goal scorers. They were great. And even if, for the first time ever in the Bundesliga history, we had 2 goals in 2 minutes. The first Bayern one is in the first minute. Then Sesko scores in the second minute. Where a goal that you see the weaknesses of Kim and Upamecano on that Openda-Sesko combination. But after that, they just were so good, so dominant. And I don't know how much this is on Leipzig not being great, or just not ready for it. or Bayern being really outstanding everywhere. But even Leroy Sané had a great game. So.
Leipzig, I think, are playing with about half the intensity they need to play at to
it's only for a
carry
game
that
like
defense.
this. Yeah, that's true. Also on Friday night, Tijani Reinders scores the only goal as Milan win away at Verona. Gab, some said that Paulo Fonseca saved his job.
I did. That's what a lot of people were saying, that he needed this win to save his job. I give Milan more credit than that. You don't keep or sack Paulo Fonseca or any manager. I say this all the time, based on a result, because otherwise we could go back to your buddy Eric Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Getting sacked after losing to West Ham on a penalty that should have never been given.
Yeah.
And for which the PGMOL admitted we made a serious mistake here. Fonseca is going down his own route. Theo Hernandez, I don't like you. You're not training properly. Fine. I'm gonna play the kid
bench.
Jimenez in there. Jimenez, by the way, who I think is still, I don't know if Real Madrid have a buyback clause or whatever.
Yeah.
But Jimenez is ridiculously good. And if you're a Madridista, your future is safe at left back. Coming years, you won't see Camavinga there anymore. It'll be this guy. But, he does things. He plays Terracciano in midfield. He loses Leao after half an hour. I think the players who play with intensity are still playing with the right intensity. And that's encouraging. There's obviously an issue with the fact that Milan are still not playing well. I mean, this was more about effort than it was about productivity.
And a great ball by Youssouf Fofana. My boy, Paris born and bred, of course.
Youssouf Fofana, one of the few players that the Milan fans love right now.
Yeah, or don't hate,
Yeah, no, they all seem to, other than Reinders, most of them seem
everyone,
to, and it's Fofana and it's Magic Mike.
Yeah.
They like some French players in Milan. Yeah. They don't like others like Theo, less so. Brentford had the best home record in the Premier League until Nottingham Forest and Evangelos Marinakis rolled into town, that is. Jules, they win 2-0. They're still fourth in the table. Yeah. They have a new chief executive, Lina Soluku, fresh off walking out on the Roma job. Marinakis can enjoy a nice cigar, and if he's indoors, he might just expectorate on the floor because that's how he rolls.
And they were good. They were really good for that game, considering Brentford. But we've said the home record for Brentford was also there because they hadn't played any teams from pretty much the top of the table.
Well, they played 8 teams.
Yeah, from the second half of the table. 8 teams that you expect them to win against at home. Now
it's Brentford. I don't expect Brentford to beat anybody. It's still Brentford.
But wait until they play Forest, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. All coming in the next few games, I think. But still, to go there and do what Forest did on the back of that late win the previous weekend against Villa was great. And well done, Nuno, for all the time we criticized him. Now we need to credit him for this great form.
It's funny. I mean, Nuno, I think, has not put a foot wrong. They got some breaks, which is fine, because that's part of football. I think they have some really, really good individual players.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, between Nuno and Iraola, I'm wondering if we're seeing managers who really make a difference. I'm just going to ask you, who do you think is a bigger value add to the team? Iraola at Bournemouth or Nuno at...
I would say for Iraola at Bournemouth still.
Yeah,
just for the style.
100% Iraola.
New Southampton boss, Ivan Juric. Remember him, Roma fans? Watches from the stands at his team. Get a draw away at Fulham. Gabby's already having a positive effect.
Yeah, so this is really funny. Okay, I'm not going to call anybody a liar here. But, so he wasn't coaching.
His work permit hasn't arrived, right?
Yes, I mean, whatever. I don't get me started on that stuff. But the guy who the interim manager, this guy Rusk,
from the under-21s.
Yeah, so he goes and he sets up the team in a 3-4-2-1 with very clear defined back three, which you can call a back five when they defend. Which, funny enough, is exactly the football Juric plays.
Yeah.
So they asked him, like, "Did you talk to Juric?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, yeah, we talked on the phone, but I didn't go out and, but we didn't talk tactics or personnel. Like, I chose a team myself." Oh yeah, and you just happen, you watch some old Juric videos. Juric is supposed to be a Gasperini disciple. He played for Gasperini. He was Gasperini's assistant. When it works, that's the kind of football he plays. I have to say, I haven't really seen him bring that value add since probably since he was at Verona when
Yeah.
they were mid-table. Lost a lot of players from mid-table again. 3 years at Torino where they did spend a little bit of money. I don't think they really went anywhere. It's an interesting choice. What you're going to see is a lot more hard work from Southampton.
Yeah, more intensity.
You'll still see a lot of aggression, which they like. You're not going to see them passing the ball sideways 500 times when they're a goal down, which I guess is a good thing. But yeah, I kind of feel this is one of those situations where, well, we're preparing in case we go down and come back up. Alexander Isak bags a hat-trick as Newcastle win 4-0 away to Ipswich. Jules, you're a big fan of the big Swede, aren't you?
Yeah, I think he's an amazing player all around, everything. There's nothing he can't do. He's got it all, really. And the injuries, I think, have maybe slowed him down a little bit through his career in the past. But the form that he's on now, he's been for a few weeks now and months. That's been great. So that game, Ipswich were terrible on the day. But Newcastle and Isak especially outstanding.
Where do we see Newcastle in the sense that we discovered that they're not going to go and spend all the Saudi money and blah, blah, blah.
Not anymore.
They have PSR issues like everybody else. If they have to sacrifice, there's always talk, right?
Yeah.
Eddie Howe, Grumbly, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they were able to sell Elliot Anderson for, was it like 40-odd million, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Isak is the obvious.
Isak or Bruno Guimaraes, really, one of the two. They're the highest value. More than Gordon even, I think.
I mean, then it comes down to can Paul Mitchell reinvest it properly?
Yeah, exactly. Roma beat up Parma 5-0 as Paulo Dybala scores twice and gets an assist. Gab, they've missed performances like this.
Yeah, so this is one of those games where Paulo Dybala plays really well. The best thing he did, I thought, was the assist.
Yeah, lovely.
At the end. But it's like, oh, look, he scored 2 goals, one of them a penalty, and now he's doubled his goals total on the season. And the man makes 8 million euros a year net. I don't want to reduce everything to money, but he's making close to £300,000 a week, if that's how you think. Claudio Ranieri, all warm and effusive, saying, well, there's a Roma with Dybala and there's a Roma without Dybala, implying that, he needs Dybala. But this is the really interesting thing, right? So his contract expires in 2025, in June of 2025, the end of the season. He has a clause in his contract where if he plays 45 minutes or more, at least 20 times this year, that contract automatically gets extended another year.
Yeah.
I don't think Roma can afford to extend his contract for another year without making painful cuts elsewhere.
Yeah.
One of the big reasons Roma are in this massive, massive mess is that whether it was Dybala, whether it was your boy Ghisolfi, they thought that he was going to be sold in the summer, that he was going to Saudi Arabia, 4 million euros, not a big fee. Oh, but we get these massive wages off our wage bill.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, and that's kind of what messed them up. Now in January, they're thinking, oh, maybe Galatasaray, blah, blah, blah. His agent was pictured with an intermediary in Istanbul. Sure, great. But these deals where if you play, your contract gets extended, they're never good deals. They're never good deals. I would love to know who signed them. I'm assuming it was maybe Thiago Pinto or Lina. This is really stupid. And Roma could find themselves in a situation where to get into where they may actually decide not to play him later in the season, even though it might help them get into the Europa League, just because they don't want to be on the hook for 16 million euros for one more year for a guy who's, he can win you games single-handedly, but he also disappears for long stretches and is down his 30s. Paris Saint-Germain advance in the Coupe de France, getting past Lens on the road.
Come on.
Jules, this wasn't straightforward. Penalties.
Yeah, he went to penalty. We don't have any extra time anymore in the French Cup, so you go straight to pen. I know, it was not a great game. Although PSG had there's no VAR as well in the French Cup, even in games between two top flight teams.
There's no VAR in the League Cup here either.
Exactly, which is even again between two teams of the Premier League. So that's a bit weird because Hakimi's first goal, which I think would have changed the whole dynamic of the game, should have been allowed in the first half. Instead, it was 0-0 at halftime. Then Lens scored a bit of a lucky goal. PSG were under pressure again, and then Gonzalo Ramos came on and scored for the 4th game in a row, which is what he does. Then he goes to penalty, and Safonov, who's replacing Donnarumma, who's getting another face put on his own face after what happened in Monaco, saves 2 penalty shots, the fourth and fifth one for Lens, and then wins the game for PSG. So
when is Luis Enrique going to tell Safonov to cut his hair?
you don't like the D'Artagnan look, do you? The like musketeers.
No, he looks. I don't think he's good.
He looks very. He looks very Russian, I guess.
No, he's not cool. It's right. Putin looks very Russian. This guy doesn't look Russian. This guy looks like a weirdo.
A late Adam Marusic goal gives Lazio a 2-1 win away at Lecce, and they stay fourth in the table. Gab, they bounce back from that 6-0 defeat against Inter.
They did, but that left its mark. I mean, like they showed a lot of heart in this game, and they're still out there. That's a credit to Baroni, but they could have conceded, maybe should have conceded a late equalizer to Lecce. Marisic came on the bench. This was pretty scrambled. Like they're right up there. I don't know if they can. I don't think they can sustain this the whole season, especially if they advance in the Europa League. But yeah, it was important to say, all right, that wasn't us. What you saw in that second half on Monday night. Vitor Pereira got off to a flying start as Wolverhampton Wanderers as they beat Leicester City 3-0. Jules, this is what they call a relegation 6-pointer.
Yeah, it was indeed, Gab.
Van Nistelrooy missed a huge chance to put some real breathing room.
I think there would have been 8 points between them two if Leicester had won against Wolves, but they didn't, and they were
I think
6, and they were well beaten, absolutely well beaten. Leicester terrible, I thought. The Gonzalo Guedes goals, obviously, the first one changes a lot the dynamic of it. Cunha was good, and we're waiting to see if he would be suspended for the glasses grabbing in the game against Ipswich or not. But in terms of a first game in charge for Vitor Pereira, I think that was probably everything he would have wanted. So good to him. Mihailo Mudryk was spotted at the Alexander Usyk Tyson Fury fight in Saudi Arabia on Saturday. Gab, you okay with this? I mean, he's got plenty of time on his hand now that he's suspended.
Yeah, but have some dignity. So you are accused of taking a banned substance. Keep a low profile. I don't know who's advising this guy or whether he's just a moron. But yeah, I go back. Remember social media posts when he's like in some public gym and he's filming other people, like old people, have overweight women, and he's like filming them and making fun of them, right? This is the guy's mentality. Now, I'm sorry. If you took wittingly, unwittingly, a banned substance, meldonium, vibranium, I don't care what you took, right? You done screwed up and you let your club down because your club are paying you, right? You should keep a low profile, keep your mouth shut. Not if you really need to see the Usyk Fury fight, buy it on pay-per-view. I'm sure you can afford it, right? Yeah. But to go and to be photographed like this and stuff, don't keep a low profile until you prove your innocence. I mean, it's as simple as that. You should be embarrassed. I'm not. Look, when it comes to drugs and sport, you know my views. I think I am not an absolutist, but I think when you get caught with a situation like this, even if it's unwitting, you have some humility. What did Paul Pogba do after he tested positive? Did he go out and do photo shoots? Did he go out and get filmed on runways? Like, haha, look at me. Like, no, he didn't.
I mean, he did film a movie though.
Yeah, but that was before.
Yeah, but still,
but come on. And also, lay off Pogba. Speaking of Pogba.
Yeah.
Matthias Pogba, one of his two brothers, has been sentenced for 3 years in the extortion trial where he tried to extort money from his brother. This is such a horrible story.
Yeah.
You know Paul. Well, we both know Paul a little bit. You know the family much better than I do. Will this bring some closure? Is this?
Yeah, I think so. There's 2 years suspended and one in prison. I think is because he did already some jail time. He will wear like an
ankle tag.
Yeah, ankle tag, and things like that. Everybody else, the other 5 people who were accused of that extortion attempt on Paul Pogba, had between 5 and 8 years as well. The one that was the mastermind between all of that got 8 years. And I think that's what Paul said. He said that finally that he can move on now from all of this. Matthias, I think it's came out in a very candid way, maybe, if I can put it that way, in a sense like he's just saying, I just hope that me and Paul can just repair everything that's been broken through this whole story, which, as you said, is an incredible one in itself. And I guess only time will tell, and time can heal things a lot, as we know, even between family members and family feuds. So I just hope for them, because they were both very unhappy about everything that was happening, as you would be. And I just hope that this, even if it's a tough sentence for Matthias, really, I just hope that brings a bit of peace. Yeah.
Is there a suggestion that he was somehow not a victim, because obviously he's a grown up, but he was somehow coerced into being a part of this, and that's why he got a lesser sentence?
Yeah, bullied into that. Yeah, definitely. He said that he was almost forced to threaten his own brother, to put pressure on him to pay those guys that they grew up with. They were like childhood friends. But clearly the court didn't really see it that way. Manchester United are considering a post-season trip to Malaysia. Here we go, with promoters offering as much as $10 million for it. Gab, the players may not like it, Ruben Amorim neither, but Jim Ratcliffe needs to pay the bills and the roof.
Yes.
The new roof.
Yeah, look, I have no problem with this. You're under contract. This kind of fits into the Club World Cup narrative as well, the too many games narrative, blah, blah, blah. I mean, first of all, the way United are going, they won't be playing too many games regardless, because, they're not going to advance too far. But if you're under contract, the club have you, and they're in the business of sports entertainment, and $10 million is a lot of money. And sure, Ruben Amorim might be like, oh, it would be much better if you guys all went and took long naps. The reality is there's an international break. Presumably the players who are going are the ones who aren't playing during that international break, in which I think is the first week in June, something like that, right? Just before the Club World Cup. They're obviously not playing at the Club World Cup. I don't have a problem with this. This is what football is. This is how you have to pay the bills of all these highly paid players. I don't want to hear a single one of these guys complain, frankly, if you're a player, that you have to go to Malaysia. PSV Eindhoven beat Feyenoord in the Eredivisie 3-0. Jules, Peter Bosch is fully deserving of our holiday cheer. Peter, you are officially, I'm at least for me, the second greatest bald Dutch manager in the world, maybe third greatest, in case Jaap Stam starts managing again.
Yeah, but he's not. So for now, second place is good for him. This was a really fun game to watch, because Feyenoord had plenty of chances, so did PSV, very open, as you can just imagine. And a big win with Malik Tillman scoring, the American international. Again, he's had a really good season for Peter Bosch and for this team. And the top of the table, 6 points clear, I think, of Ajax in second, 2 defeats so far this season, like Ajax and Farioli, to be fair.
But they won every other game, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, exactly. They've been incredible still. So well done to Peter. For all the times we made fun of you, Peter, it's good that we...
Is there some weird correlation between... Does the scheme work now? Now that we've put Peter Bosch with the good bald Dutch manager? The good
Bosch, yeah.
Does having just a 4-letter last name, like Bosch or Slot, does that help?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Or Stam?
So if you're bold and just your name with 4 letters, you're on to something.
Like Jaap Stam.
Yeah.
I'm trying to shoehorn him back in, because I can't think of a third Dutch bald manager with 4 letters in his last name.
Stam has 2 A's or 1 A in his name?
Just 1 A.
1 A, okay.
Well, he has 2 A's in his first name.
Yeah.
But 1 A in...
so maybe. Yeah. Roberto Mancini says he made a mistake in walking out of the Italy job and going to manage Saudi Arabia. Gab, I bet you don't disagree with him, do you?
No, I don't think anybody would disagree with him. It left Italy worse off. It certainly left him worse off in terms of a reputation. It made him richer, although, again, I was speaking to somebody who may or may not have been part of his staff. The way the contract was structured and the taxes you had to pay on it, because otherwise there's a residency requirement. He wasn't there that long. Yes, he made an absolute ton of money. He was the highest paid coach in the world, but it's nowhere near the amounts that were out there in the media. So, yeah, he really hurt his rep. He hurt his rep as a coach. It's not so much as a coach because, I think most clubs in Europe look at this and say, all right, you're moving into national team management in a country where you know absolutely nothing. You don't know these players. Yeah. You're starting from scratch. It's a totally different skill set, whatever. But he hurt his reputation, I think, as a person for the way he walked out. And I think there's issues of trust there. And I think that's going to be much, much harder for him to repair. Ugly scenes from Sao Paulo, Jules. 4 players from River Plate's women's team were arrested and accused of racially abusing a ball boy during their team's clash with Grêmio in the Brazil Ladies Cup, which, if you're not familiar with, is an international friendly tournament.
I've never seen anything like this, Gav. I won't lie. Incredible. You see the video. If you haven't seen the video, you can go and check it out. You see clearly the monkey gestures. They've verbally, racially abused people at that game.
That's what they're accused of, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're accused of, so that's right.
The monkey gestures, I think, are
pretty
obvious.
Yeah, to see. So you can just imagine the rest, I think. In what was really incredible scenes, the Grêmio players walking off, not wanting to play that game, which I completely understand and support 100%. It was just mad.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like this in women's football. I'm not sure I've seen anything like this
Even
in men's football. Because we should say it. So there's clearly a fight or a brawl that breaks out between
There's
these
a lot
women.
of tensions, you could tell.
The ball boy, who's this sort of lanky guy with an afro, comes close, and then words are exchanged, and then he gets racially abused.
Yeah.
What happened to me afterwards, though, is equally shocking. Because these women from River, I presume the 4 have been arrested.
Yeah.
They don't stop. They're literally chasing the ball boy and the referee all around the stadium. Yeah. And look, I know it's a friendly match. It's women's football in South America. There's not going to be a big crowd, a big security apparatus. But they must have a coach. They must have people with them.
I know, absolutely.
I'm sorry. These are all a bunch of 5'5" women.
Yeah.
Nobody can step in and say stop. I don't think these women are ever going to play. The ones who were involved, I don't think they're ever going to play football again.
They shouldn't anyway.
They could face criminal charges under legislation in Brazil for the monkey gesture. That's awful, right?
Yeah.
But equally, to lose your heads like this, you're sending a message that, I never want to play football again. Really, really ugly.
Yeah, that was bad. Gab, our colleague Marcotti always cites the leaky roof at Old Trafford as evidence of how much the United must spend and need investment. And we saw that on Sunday again.
Yeah, this was awful. Poor Ruben Amorim is there in his post-match press conference. He's just lost 3-0. And then on top of that, there's a drip coming down through the light fixtures. I mean, leaving aside that there's leak in the roof and the water starts coming through your light fixtures. When the lights are on, I'm not a fire engineer.
But in terms of safety, I'm
assuming it's dangerous as well. That is the picture of United. And look, Jim Ratcliffe isn't responsible. He inherited this situation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the enormity of what they have to fix. So maybe it's the aesthetics, but for a club of this magnitude, this is
embarrassing.
What you call insult to injury?
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Poor Ruben Amorim.
Definitely.
Jules, this brings us to an end, but I will leave you. I'm going away, so you'll see me again on the show.
I'm in charge of the house.
But that's me. That'll be me speaking to you from the past. We have a special holiday award show that we're all excited about. After that, you'll be getting some Neda Manua.
Manua, yeah.
There you go.
The 2 shows the following week.
So Jules will take care of you. I will catch y'all in 2025. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.